Hello dear student, welcome back to the series of database management system. Today we are going to see what are the constraints. Constraints means what? Some condition we are keeping on entering the data to the tables. Okay, so that are called constraints. So our first constraint is not null constraint. So my the name itself suggests something. Not null constraint means what? The data should not be null. But while creating the table, you have to specify that this column will not accept any null value. Okay, so by mistakenly also, if you keep any field or if you keep any record as empty, it should generate the error that it is a not null field. You have to write that field. That is called not null constraint. So how we are going to create that? Create table. While creating table, you have to specify. Okay, create table student. My table name is student. Create table student, and I'm writing SID int not null. That means the student ID should not be null. Name varchar age int. Okay, so while inserting the data, if you insert any null value there, it will generate the error that the your student ID should not be null. That is the not null constraint. Clear? Next is the unique constraint. Unique means what? No duplications are allowed. Okay, no two identical values are allowed. Okay, so that means each record should be unique. So if you put roll number roll number 1 and again you're putting by mistakenly roll number 1, it should generate the error that only unique values are allowed. Okay, so that means the column will not accept the repeated value. It prevents two records from having identical values in column. So again, when you have to give the constraint while creating the table only. So while creating the table, I will write create table student SID int not null, name varchar, age int not null, and unique. That means what? It will accept only unique age. So suppose my age is suppose 28 and somebody's age is also 28, it will not accept. Okay, so by you have to think and you have to give that. Okay, next is primary key constraint. Very important. Primary key constraint uniquely identifies each record in a database. A primary key must contain unique value and it must not contain a null value. Usually primary key is used to index the data inside the table. So without primary key your table is nothing. Okay? Whenever you create the table, you have to specify the primary key. Okay? What is primary key? Primary key is a key which is which accepts only unique records and which cannot be null. Okay, so we have seen null constraint, we have seen unique constraint. Null means you should not accept null value, unique means it should accept only the unique values. And what is primary key? Primary key means what? It should accept only the null values and unique values. Okay, so that is called primary key. So whenever we create any table and we want to index our table, we create the ID of that table or any one field as a primary key which will uniquely identify each record of your table. For example, if you create student table, roll numbers are unique, so I will write roll number as a primary key. Okay, in teacher table, teacher's ID are unique, correct? They should not be null, so that means they are primary key. Okay, so I will write teacher ID as primary key. Employee table, I will write employee ID as primary key. Okay, so primary keys are those keys which cannot be null and which accepts only unique values. So how we are going to write that? Create table student SID int primary key. That means this column will become my primary key. Name varchar not null and age integer. Okay, now here you can impose two constraint also to one field. Okay, I can write not null and unique also. Okay, so to one field also you can impose two constraints. Now what is foreign key constraint? Foreign means what? Suppose you are going to study somewhere in abroad, so you become foreigner there. If somebody else from Africa, Australia or America come to India and study here, that means we call them as foreigner, correct? So similarly, primary key is my table's primary key. If it goes in somebody else's table, it acts as a foreign key. Okay? So that means primary key of one table will act as a foreign key in another table. Now what is the use of this? Why we are sending my primary key to somebody else foreign key, somebody else table to become foreign key? Correct? So there is a motto, correct? I go to foreign for study, or I go to foreign to earn something, correct? So similarly, we have a motto here that if you want to combine or if you want to make a relationship between two table, we are going to make a relationship between two table using the primary key. Okay, so that means primary key of one table will go and will act as a foreign key in somebody else table. Okay, so for example, we have two table as student and teacher. Okay, so student and teacher, there is a relationship है ना, student teaches to teacher teaches to student, correct? So there is a relationship, so we have to show this relationship between these two tables. So how we are going to make the relationship in by using this? The primary key of teacher table will come to the student table, okay, and it will act as a foreign key here. Okay, now how we are going to do that? We have to create first the primary keys table, okay, which is going to act as foreign key in another table. So then I will write create table order detail, order id int primary key, order name varchar, that is not null, and again I'm taking customers, suppose customer id as a foreign key in my order table. So I will write customer id, the data type integer. I will write this is my foreign key which is coming from which table? Customer detail, correct? So I am writing foreign key, and please refer. So I will write references customer details CID. Okay, clear? So that means I'm writing reference here. That means please refer customer detail table ka CID. Understood? Clear? So here in this way you are going to write the references, and in this way you are going to write the foreign key constraint. Next constraint is check constraint. Check constraint means what? Suppose you want to restrict some value. For example, the age should be greater than 18. Okay, you are creating the table for voters registration. So the voter registration table should only accept the values where age is greater than 18. So you have to make a constraint there. You have to impose the condition. For that we use check constraint. Check constraint is used to restrict the value of a column between a range. It performs check on the values before storing them into the database. It is like condition checking before saving data into column. For example, create table student SID int not null. Check if SID is greater than 0, name varchar and not null, and age integer. That means it will check that my value should be greater than 0. Okay, if I want to impose that age should be greater than 18, I will write age int check age should be greater than 18. So it will accept only the values of age where age is greater than 18, otherwise it will throw the error.